The observation ship docked with Earth's orbital station in complete silence. Ambassador Veltari watched through the viewport as the blue planet rotated slowly below. The crystalline being's facets reflected the starlight as it considered the task ahead. Another species wanted to join the Galactic Council, another evaluation to conduct. Beside Veltari stood scientist Nix Orum, its compound eyes scanning data streams on multiple screens. The insectoid researcher's mandibles clicked softly as it processed information about the humans. Next to them both, Guard Cormac shifted its massive armored body, checking weapon systems for the third time that cycle. "They appear unremarkable," Nix Orum chittered, reading biological data. "Soft skin, no natural armor, no venomous glands, no enhanced senses. I am uncertain how they survived their own planet." Veltari hummed in agreement. Earth was classified as a death world by Council standards: high gravity, extreme temperature variations, dangerous predators, toxic plant life. Yet these fragile creatures had not merely survived, but thrived. The airlock hissed open. 3 humans stood waiting in the docking bay. Captain Jiwon Kim stepped forward first. She wore a dark blue uniform with various insignias that meant nothing to the observers. Her face showed no fear, only calm professionalism. "Welcome to Orbital Station Unity. I'm Captain Kim, your liaison during this evaluation." Behind her stood Dr. Minho Park, a shorter human with an eager expression. He practically bounced on his feet. "It's an honor to meet you. I've studied your species for years. Well, what little information we could access, this is amazing." The third human, Commander Hana Lee, nodded curtly. Her eyes moved constantly, assessing threats that didn't exist. "Military training," Veltari noted. "Every species had soldiers." "We welcome the opportunity to learn," Veltari said through its translation device. "The Council wishes to understand human culture before considering membership." "Of course," Jiwon said. "We've prepared a full schedule. Tours, demonstrations, historical archives, whatever you need to see." Cormac rumbled. "We wish to observe typical human activities, not performances created for our benefit." Hana's mouth curved slightly upward. The observers had learned this was called a smile. "Typical activities, that can be arranged." The first day passed in routine meetings, political structures, economic systems, scientific achievements, standard evaluation protocols. The humans answered every question thoroughly. They provided data freely, too freely perhaps. Most species tried to hide their weaknesses during evaluations. On the second day, Jiwon led them to a large open chamber. "You wanted to see recreational activities. This is one of our training gyms." Inside, 2 humans circled each other on a padded floor. They wore minimal clothing, no armor, no weapons. Suddenly, one lunged forward. The other dodged, then struck back with a closed fist. The impact made a sound that echoed through the chamber. Nixorum's antennae stood rigid. "They are fighting." "Sparring," Minho corrected cheerfully. "It's practice combat. Helps maintain physical fitness and fighting skills." The humans continued their battle. Strikes landed on faces, bodies, limbs. Blood appeared from a split lip. The wounded human grinned and attacked harder. "Medical assistance?" Veltari asked with concern. Jiwon shook her head. "It's just a split lip. He'll be fine." The fight ended. Both humans embraced, laughing. The one with the bleeding mouth wiped it casually with his hand. "They damage each other," Cormac stated slowly. "For entertainment." "For training," Hana corrected. "Though yes, we do find it entertaining as well." Veltari watched as the injured human walked away without treatment. An injury that would hospitalize most species, and the human simply ignored it. The ambassador's crystalline structure vibrated with unease. That evening, Nixorum reviewed the footage repeatedly. The force of those impacts should have caused serious harm. fractured bones at minimum, yet they continued fighting. Perhaps they have pain suppressants, Cormac suggested. No medication detected in the facility, Nixorum replied. They simply tolerated it. On the third day, Minho took them to a historical archive. He showed them images of ancient humans hunting. Early humans were persistence hunters. We didn't have claws or fangs, so we developed a different strategy. The footage showed humans following prey animals across vast distances, walking, running, never stopping. The prey would run away, rest. Then the humans would appear again. Run, rest, humans appear. This continued for hours in the recording. The prey eventually collapsed from exhaustion, Minho explained. We just kept going until they couldn't run anymore. Veltari felt something close to horror. You hunted by refusing to stop? Exactly. Our endurance is our greatest advantage. We can't run as fast as most predators, but we can run longer than anything else on our planet. Nixorum made rapid calculations. This should be biologically impossible. The energy expenditure alone would kill most species, yes. Minho agreed happily. But human bodies are extremely efficient at long-distance movement. We evolved for it. That night, the three observers met in their private quarters. Cormac spoke first. These humans are more formidable than initial assessment suggested. They fight each other for practice, Veltari said. They ignore injuries that would be critical for us. They hunted prey by simply never stopping. Nixorum's mandibles clicked nervously. I believe we need more comprehensive evaluation. We are missing something about their nature. Agreed, Veltari decided. Tomorrow, we request to see their training facilities, their military preparations. I want to understand what kind of species we are truly dealing with. The observers settled into their rest cycles, but none of them rested well. Outside their windows, Earth turned slowly in the darkness. On its surface, billions of humans went about their lives, completely unaware that they were beginning to terrify the galaxy's representatives. In the morning, Jiwan received their request with that same slight smile. Our training facilities? Of course. I think you'll find them very educational. The way she said educational made Veltari's crystalline structure vibrate with anxiety. The ambassador was beginning to suspect that humans were far more dangerous than anyone had anticipated, and they were only on day 3 of a 30-day evaluation. What else would they discover about these strange, soft, persistent creatures who seemed to treat pain as an inconvenience and exhaustion as a challenge to overcome? The transport shuttle descended through Mars's thin atmosphere toward the training facility. Cormac watched the red landscape pass below, noting the harsh conditions. Low oxygen, extreme temperature shifts, constant dust storms. Yet humans had built colonies here, not just survival shelters, but actual cities where families lived. This environment is classified as hostile by council standards, the guard observed. Jiwan nodded from the pilot seat. Yes, it took some adjustment. But humans are good at adjusting. The facility was enormous. Hana led them through corridors into a massive training hall where dozens of humans ran in circles on a track. They had been running for 30 minutes already, according to the timer display. None of them had stopped. Basic endurance training, Hana explained. They'll continue for another 90 minutes. Nixorum's antennae twitched with agitation. 2 hours of continuous running? This is the easy day, Minho added. Tomorrow they do a full marathon. That's 42 kilometers without stopping. Veltari calculated the energy requirements. Impossible. Their muscle structure cannot sustain such activity. Want to see the advanced group? Jiwan asked. She took them to another chamber where humans ran on machines while wearing heavy packs. Sweat poured down their faces. Their breathing was heavy but controlled. The timer showed they had been running for 3 hours. Ultra-marathon training, Jiwan said. Some of our soldiers can run for 24 hours straight if necessary. Why? Cormac demanded. What purpose does this serve? Hana's expression became serious. Because sometimes the mission requires it. Because sometimes your squad is depending on you. Because giving up isn't an option. They moved to the temperature chambers next. Inside one room, humans exercised in near-freezing conditions. Ice formed on the walls. The temperature reading showed -15 degrees. The humans wore only light clothing. In another room, humans worked in heat that made Veltari's sensors scream warnings. 50 degrees. Desert conditions that would kill most council species within hours. Temperature tolerance training, Minho explained. Humans can survive in extreme cold and extreme heat. Not comfortably, but we survive. Define survive, Nix Oram requested. Minho pulled up data on his tablet. Humans have been recorded surviving in temperatures from -40 to +50 degrees. Some have survived even more extreme conditions for short periods. That range is lethal, Veltari stated. It's unpleasant, Jiwan corrected. Lethal is different. The next demonstration made Cormac step backward involuntarily. A human submerged herself in a tank of ice water. She stayed under for 3 minutes. When she emerged, her skin was blue-tinged, but she was conscious and functional. Cold water training, Hana said. Useful if you crash into an ocean or need to cross a frozen river. Her core temperature dropped to dangerous levels, Nix Oram protested, checking its medical scanner. She'll warm up, Minho said. The human body is very good at regulating temperature. In the medical section, they observed pain tolerance testing. Humans held their hands in ice water for extended periods. They endured electrical stimulation. They performed exercises while dealing with various discomforts. None of them quit, even when given the option. This seems like torture, Veltari said quietly. This is training, Hana replied. Torture is different. We need to know our limits. More importantly, we need to learn that our limits are further than we think. Jiwan pulled up historical footage. Let me show you something about human history. The images showed ancient humans crossing vast deserts, climbing enormous mountains, exploring frozen polar regions, all with primitive equipment. Many died, but many succeeded. We spread across our entire planet, Jiwan explained. Every continent, every climate, from frozen tundra to burning deserts to dense jungles, we adapted to all of it. How? Cormac asked. We just kept going, Minho said simply. When it was too hot, we found shade and kept going. When it was too cold, we made fire and kept going. When we were tired, we rested briefly and kept going. Nix Oram's mandibles clicked rapidly, a sign of distress. Your species should not exist. The energy expenditure, the temperature extremes, the pain tolerance. None of this should be biologically possible. But it is, Hana said. We're standing here, aren't we? That evening, they reviewed reproduction data at Nix Oram's request. The scientist froze while reading. You have no mating season? No, Minho confirmed. Humans can reproduce year-round. That's concerning, Veltari admitted. Most species have specific reproductive periods to ensure offspring survival during optimal conditions. Humans' babies are actually quite helpless, Minho said. They take years to become independent. But we adapted our social structures to account for that. Cormac discovered another detail. Females give birth to offspring that are proportionally large compared to body size. The medical data suggests this process is extremely traumatic. Childbirth is painful, yes, Jiwan agreed. But women have been doing it successfully for hundreds of thousands of years. Without medical intervention? Veltari asked. For most of our history, yes. Modern medicine makes it safer, but humans gave birth in caves, in forests, in deserts. We managed. Nixorum pulled up mortality rates. Many died. Many did, Jiwan acknowledged. But enough survived to create a population of 10 billion on our home planet alone. The observers spent hours reviewing the data. Humans crossed death worlds on foot. They climbed mountains that would kill climbers. They dove into frozen waters. They walked through deserts without water. Many failed, but enough succeeded that humans now lived on multiple planets and moons. They don't just survive extreme conditions, Nixorum said slowly. They seek them out. They challenge themselves deliberately. Veltari watched footage of humans climbing a vertical ice wall with minimal equipment. Why would they do this? Because it's there, Minho quoted, smiling. That's what one of our most famous mountain climbers said. We climb mountains because they exist. We explore because space exists. We push ourselves because limits exist. Cormac rumbled thoughtfully. This explains their rapid technological advancement. A species that treats obstacles as challenges rather than barriers. Exactly, Hana said. That night, the observers filed their reports. Veltari's message to the council was marked urgent. Human physical capabilities exceed initial projections. They possess endurance, temperature tolerance, and pain threshold far beyond standard parameters. Request authorization for psychological evaluation. I believe their mental processes are equally unusual. The response came within hours. Authorization granted. Proceed with extreme caution. Veltari looked at Nixorum and Cormac. Tomorrow we examine how they think. I suspect that will be even more disturbing than how they survive. Outside, Mars's thin atmosphere glowed with the rising sun. In the training facilities, humans began their morning routines, running, lifting, pushing themselves past what should be possible. They smiled while doing it. They laughed when they fell and got back up. They encouraged each other to go further, try harder, refuse to quit. The observers watched and felt something they rarely experienced. Fear. Not of human aggression, but of human persistence. These creatures simply did not know when to stop. They returned to Earth for the psychological evaluation. Minho seemed particularly excited about this phase. He had prepared extensive materials about human culture, entertainment, and social behavior. Let's start with something fun, he suggested, leading them to a media room. Human entertainment will tell you a lot about how we think. He activated a screen and played what he called a horror film. The observers watched as humans on screen deliberately entered dangerous situations. Dark houses, abandoned buildings, forests at night. Creatures pursued them. They screamed and ran. When it ended, Veltari's crystalline structure vibrated with confusion. They created this for entertainment? It's a very popular genre, Minho confirmed. Horror movies, scary stories, haunted houses. We frighten ourselves on purpose. Why? Nixorum's mandibles clicked rapidly. Fear is a survival response. Why trigger it artificially? Jiwan leaned back in her chair. Because it's exciting. The adrenaline rush. The thrill of being scared when you know you're actually safe. Adrenaline, Cormac repeated. The stress hormone. We kind of like it, Jiwan admitted. Some humans even get addicted to that feeling. Minho switched to action films, explosions, car chases, fights, characters jumping from buildings, hanging from helicopters, racing through danger. These are also very popular. We like watching people do dangerous things. And doing them, Hana added. Let me show you something. She pulled up footage of extreme sports, humans jumping from aircraft and pulling parachutes at the last possible moment. Humans diving into caves underwater with limited air. Humans climbing sheer rock faces without safety equipment. Humans riding bicycles down mountains at lethal speeds. These activities serve no survival purpose, Veltari observed. They only risk death. That's the point, Hana said. The risk is what makes it exciting. Nixorum studied the data carefully. Your survival instinct appears to be inverted. Most species avoid danger. Humans seek it out. Not all of us, Minho clarified. But yes, many humans are drawn to danger, challenge, and excitement. We call them thrill seekers. The next section disturbed the observers even more. Minho showed them historical warfare data. Humans fighting humans. Not for territory or resources alone, but for ideas, beliefs, and pride. The footage showed battles across human history. Primitive weapons giving way to guns, then bombs, then weapons that could destroy entire cities. Humans had created weapons specifically designed to kill other humans as efficiently as possible. You fought yourselves, Cormac stated, for thousands of years. Yes, Jiwan said quietly. Not our proudest history, but we're learning. Veltari examined casualty figures. Millions dead in some conflicts. Yet your species continued. We always continue, Hana said. The warfare data revealed something else. Tactics that seemed insane to the observers. Humans holding positions against impossible odds. Soldiers carrying wounded comrades through enemy fire. Last stands where humans fought until death rather than surrender. This soldier carried his wounded friend for 3 days, Nixorum said, reading a historical account. Through enemy territory, without food or sleep, why not leave the injured behind? Because we don't do that, Hana's voice was firm. We don't leave our people behind. Ever. Even when survival odds decrease significantly? Veltari asked. Especially then, Jiwan said. That's when your people need you most. Minho showed them examples of human stubbornness throughout history. Sieges where humans refused to surrender despite starvation. Explorers who kept going despite losing crew members. Scientists who conducted thousands of failed experiments before succeeding. Humans have a saying, Minho explained. Spite is a powerful motivator. Sometimes we accomplish things just to prove people wrong. Spite? Nixorum repeated. You survive through anger at being told you cannot? Sometimes, yes, Minho grinned. Never underestimate a human who's been told something is impossible. They moved on to social behaviors. Cormac discovered something that made the guards' armored plates rattle with alarm. You domesticated wolves. Tens of thousands of years ago, Jiwan confirmed. They're called dogs now. We selectively bred them into hundreds of different varieties. Wolves are apex predators, Cormac protested. Pack hunters, dangerous carnivores. They're also loyal, intelligent, and good companions, Minho said. We turned them into friends. The footage showed humans living with dogs, sleeping beside them, letting small children play with large dogs, trusting them completely. This is insane, Veltari said quietly. Wait until you hear about cats, Jiwan said with amusement. Minho explained how humans also domesticated small predators with sharp claws and independent personalities. Then he showed them the truly bizarre examples. Humans keeping snakes as companions. Humans caring for spiders. Humans adopting wild animals that should be dangerous. We call it pack bonding, Minho said. Humans will try to befriend almost anything. We adopted wolves, cats, horses, birds, reptiles, even insects. If it exists, some human has probably tried to make friends with it. Nixorum pulled up more recent examples. This human befriended a bear. This one rescued a crocodile. This one taught an octopus to recognize them. Pack bonding is one of our strongest instincts, Jiwan explained. We're social creatures. We form attachments easily. Sometimes too easily. You bond with your predators, Cormac said slowly. You make weapons into companions. I guess that's one way to look at it, Hana agreed. They studied human social structures, families that extended beyond blood relations, communities that supported each other through disasters. strangers helping strangers during emergencies. The concept of adopted family confused the observers until Minho explained it. We choose our families too. Blood relation isn't always the most important bond. Sometimes the family you choose is stronger. That evening, Veltari reviewed psychological profiles. Humans suffered from anxiety, depression, trauma, and numerous other mental conditions. Yet they continued functioning. They sought help. They supported each other. They survived despite their minds sometimes working against them. They fight external threats and internal ones simultaneously, the ambassador noted. The next day, Minho showed them human philosophy and art. Concepts about meaning, purpose, and existence. Humans knew they would die, yet they created beauty anyway. They built things that would outlast them. They made art knowing it might be forgotten. Why create if it's temporary? Nixorum asked. Because we were here, Minho said simply. Because we existed. Because maybe our creations will help someone else, even after we're gone. They examined human relationships, friendships that lasted decades, romantic bonds that endured hardship, parents sacrificing everything for children. The depth of human emotional connections seemed excessive to the observers. You invest so much emotion in temporary connections, Veltari observed. All humans die eventually. That's exactly why the connections matter, Jiwon said. Because they're temporary, because we only have limited time. That makes every moment more valuable. Cormac read about human grief rituals. You mourn your dead for years sometimes. Sometimes forever, Hana said quietly. Love doesn't end just because someone dies. That night, the three observers sat in silence for a long time. Finally, Nixorum spoke. These creatures are psychologically anomalous. They seek danger for entertainment. They fight their own kind, then save those same people. They refuse to abandon anyone. They bond with predators. They create beauty knowing it's temporary. They love knowing they'll lose what they love. They should not function, Veltari agreed. The psychological stress alone should be debilitating. Yet they thrive, Cormac finished. Jiwon had given them free access to human cultural databases. The observers spent the night reviewing thousands of years of human stories, songs, art, and philosophy. Every piece contained the same themes: persistence, loyalty, refusing to give up, finding meaning despite hardship, protecting the pack, continuing forward. Tomorrow we examine their biology in detail, Veltari decided. I need to understand how their bodies support these psychological patterns. But the ambassador already suspected what they would find. Humans were built to survive. Their minds refused to quit. Their hearts bonded too deeply. Their spirits sought challenge rather than safety. The galaxy had never encountered anything like them. Veltari was beginning to understand why that should terrify everyone. The medical research facility was located deep underground, protected by layers of security. Dr. Minho led them through corridors lined with laboratories and examination rooms. His enthusiasm had not diminished despite the observers' growing unease. Today we'll examine human biological resilience, he announced cheerfully. I think you'll find it fascinating. Fascinating was not the word Veltari would have chosen. Disturbing seemed more accurate. They began with bone structure. Minho showed them scans of healed fractures. Human bones are remarkably strong for our size, but what's really interesting is what happens when they break. Break? Nixorum clicked nervously. Yes, bones break under sufficient force, but then they heal. And the healed bone is actually stronger than before in that specific location. He displayed multiple scans showing fracture sites that had become denser than surrounding bone tissue. We literally become stronger in the places we were broken. Cormac examined the data carefully. This should not be efficient. Why not simply make all bones this density initially? Weight and flexibility, Minho explained. Our bodies optimize for what we actually need. If we break something repeatedly, it becomes harder to break. Adaptive reinforcement. Veltari studied more scans. Many of these subjects have multiple healed fractures. Oh yes, Minho agreed. Most humans break something at least once in their lives. Some of us are clumsier than others. He laughed and tapped his own arm. I broke this arm twice as a child. You broke your arm twice and find this amusing? Nixorum asked. I healed both times. Kids are pretty resilient. They moved on to the immune system. This section made Nixorum's antennae stand completely rigid with alarm. Minho described how human immune systems remembered every pathogen they encountered and developed specific defenses. We carry a library of threats in our bodies, he explained. Every bacteria, virus, or fungus we've ever fought. Our immune system remembers and adapts. This is similar to other species, Veltari noted. Yes, but human immune systems are particularly aggressive, sometimes too aggressive. Minho showed them data on autoimmune disorders, conditions where human immune systems attacked their own bodies. Sometimes our defenses get confused and think we're the threat. Then we're literally at war with ourselves. This is lethal, Cormac stated. It can be. But modern medicine helps manage it. And many humans live full lives despite autoimmune conditions, decades even. The observers exchanged glances. These humans survived with their own bodies attacking them, for years. Next came allergies. Nixorum struggled to understand the concept. Your immune system responds to harmless substances as threats? Pollen, certain foods, animal fur, yes. Our immune system overreacts sometimes. And this is common? Very common. Maybe 1 in 5 humans has some kind of allergy. Jiwan entered the room carrying coffee. I'm allergic to shellfish. Makes me very sick if I eat it. But I just avoid shellfish and I'm fine. Your body will attack you if you consume certain foods, Veltari said slowly, yet this is considered a minor inconvenience. Well, yes, I just don't eat shellfish. The next demonstration made all 3 observers step back involuntarily. A human volunteer agreed to show them adrenaline response. Baseline measurements were taken. Then the human was subjected to a stress test. Loud noises, sudden movements, simulated danger. The monitoring equipment showed dramatic changes. Heart rate doubled, breathing accelerated, pupils dilated, blood flow redirected to major muscle groups. The human's strength measurements increased by 30%. Adrenaline, Minho explained. Our bodies produce it during stress or danger. It temporarily enhances our physical capabilities. By 30%? Cormac asked. Sometimes more. There are documented cases of hysterical strength. Mothers lifting vehicles off trapped children. People breaking through doors to escape fires. Soldiers performing impossible physical feats in combat. He showed them footage and reports. A human female lifting a car that should have been impossible for her to move. A human male carrying 3 people out of a burning building, despite having a broken leg himself. A human child pulling an adult to safety during a flood. The body removes its limiters during extreme situations, Minho said. We can damage ourselves with these actions, torn muscles, damaged joints, broken bones from our own strength. But we survive the immediate threat. You harm yourselves to save yourselves, Nixorum observed. Or to save others, yes. Our bodies prioritize immediate survival over long-term health. Hana took them to the trauma ward. Medical permission has been granted to show you real cases. No simulations. The first patient had survived a vehicle collision. Multiple broken bones, internal injuries, massive blood loss. Yet the human was conscious and talking with medical staff. This level of trauma is fatal for most species, Veltari said. It was touch and go, the human patient admitted, hearing them. But I'm still here. The doctor explained the treatment. How they had stopped the bleeding, repaired the damage, stabilized broken bones. He'll need months of physical therapy, but he'll make a full recovery. Full recovery? Cormac repeated. From this? Barring complications, yes. They saw more cases. A construction worker who had fallen 3 stories and survived with a broken back. A soldier who had lost a limb but was being fitted for a prosthetic and planned to return to duty. A child who had nearly drowned but was expected to have no lasting damage. Minho pulled up historical data. 200 years ago, survival rates for these injuries would have been much lower. But even then, humans survived things that should have killed them. We have records of people surviving without modern medicine through sheer stubbornness. He showed them a historical account. A human male in the year 1823 who had been mauled by a bear. His throat torn, ribs broken, one eye destroyed. He crawled several kilometers back to his camp, then lived for another 40 years. Impossible, Nixorum stated flatly. Documented, Minho countered. His name was recorded, his injuries were witnessed, he survived. The biological data continued to horrify the observers. Human liver could regenerate from as little as 25% remaining tissue. Human blood clotted to seal wounds automatically. Human skin formed scar tissue that, while different from original skin, provided protection and function. You heal from almost anything non-fatal, Veltari observed. And sometimes from things that should be fatal, Jiwan added. Medical miracles happen fairly regularly, people surviving against impossible odds. Cormac discovered another disturbing fact. Human bite force is significant. And your mouths contain numerous bacteria. Yes, human bites are actually quite dangerous, Minho agreed. We're not venomous, but our mouths are full of microorganisms that can cause serious infections in others. You are vectors, Nixorum said, carriers of disease. All species carry microorganisms, Minho countered. But yes, humans carry quite a few. We've evolved with them. They're part of our immune system, actually. Good bacteria that help us fight bad bacteria. The observers learned that human skin, mouths, and digestive systems were covered in microscopic life. Trillions of organisms living on and inside each human. Most were beneficial or harmless. Some could be dangerous to other species. You live in symbiosis with countless organisms, Veltari said. Yes, they help us digest food, produce vitamins, fight infections. We need them as much as they need us. Yet humans also spread diseases between themselves. They breathed shared air. They touched each other constantly. They shared food and drinking containers. They kissed, exchanging fluids directly. Your disease transmission rates should be catastrophic, Nixorum protested. They were, historically, Minho admitted. Plagues killed millions, but we developed medicine, vaccines, antibiotics. We learned to fight the diseases as they evolved. They evolved, Cormac repeated. The diseases adapted to counter your defenses. Yes, and we adapted to counter them. It's an ongoing process. Hana showed them military medical data, soldiers continuing to fight despite injuries that should have incapacitated them. Combat medics treating wounded while wounded themselves. Survival rates that defied statistical probability. Humans in combat often don't realize how badly they're injured until later, she explained. Adrenaline and focus can override pain signals. We have cases of soldiers walking on broken legs, fighting with fractured arms, continuing missions with serious wounds. This is not rational, Veltari protested. No, Hana agreed, but it's effective. That evening, Nixorum compiled the biological data. Human bodies refuse to accept death. They adapt to damage. They heal from trauma. They produce chemicals that enhance survival. They host entire ecosystems internally. They regenerate tissue. They strengthen from injury. They override pain through sheer will. They are biological nightmares, Cormac said quietly. Veltari's crystalline structure hummed with deep unease. Tomorrow we present our findings to the Council. I do not know how to explain what we have discovered. Outside, night fell over the facility. Inside, humans continued their lives, healing from injuries, fighting diseases, adapting to challenges, refusing to quit, their bodies built to survive, their minds determined to continue, their spirits unwilling to accept defeat. The observers finally understood the truth. Humans were not just death worlders. They were the apex survivors of a planet that had tried to kill them for millions of years, and they had won. The Galactic Council chamber materialized around them in holographic splendor. Thousands of species attended virtually, their forms projected from across the galaxy. At the center platform stood Ambassador Veltari, scientist Nix Orum, and guard Cormac. Behind them, also attending virtually, were Captain Jiwon Kim, Dr. Minho Park, and Commander Hana Lee. The Council Arbiter, an ancient being of pure energy, spoke first. "We have reviewed your preliminary reports with great concern. Present your full findings on the human species." Veltari's crystalline body reflected the chamber's lights as it began. "Honored Council members, humanity is unlike any species we have previously evaluated. They are a paradox species that defies our standard classification systems." The ambassador activated a holographic display. Physically, humans appear unremarkable. No natural armor, no enhanced senses, no venomous capabilities, no remarkable strength relative to their size. By conventional metrics, they should be a prey species. Murmurs rippled through the council. Several species made sounds of agreement. However, Veltari continued, humans are apex persistence predators. They evolved to hunt by simply never stopping. They can maintain physical activity for hours, sometimes days, beyond what their physiology should allow. Their endurance exceeds all known species. Nixorum took over, displaying biological data. Human temperature tolerance ranges from -40 to +50 degrees. They function, not comfortably but effectively, in conditions that would kill most of us. They deliberately train in extreme environments. The display showed footage of humans running for hours, exercising in freezing cold, working in desert heat. "Their healing capabilities are extraordinary," Nixorum continued. "Bones that break heal stronger. Wounds seal through complex clotting mechanisms. Organs regenerate. They survive trauma that our medical databases classify as fatal. Their bodies literally refuse to accept death." More footage appeared. Humans recovering from catastrophic injuries. Humans living decades with conditions that would kill other species within days. Cormac stepped forward, the guard's armored plates rattling slightly. "From a security perspective, humans are concerning. They possess hysterical strength capabilities, temporarily increasing their physical power by 30% or more during stress. This often causes self-harm, but they prioritize immediate survival over long-term health." The display showed documented cases of impossible feats. Mothers lifting vehicles, soldiers performing superhuman acts in combat, civilians breaking through barriers during emergencies. "Psychologically," Veltari resumed, "humans are anomalous. They seek danger for entertainment. They fight their own species, then save those same individuals. They refuse to abandon injured companions even when survival odds decrease drastically. They form emotional bonds with predators and adopt them as companions." The council chamber filled with sounds of confusion and alarm. Several species demanded clarification. The arbiter called for silence. "They domesticated wolves," Cormac stated. "Apex predators became their loyal companions. They keep venomous creatures as pets. They will attempt to befriend almost any species, regardless of danger." Minho spoke up from his position with the human delegation. "If I may, we call it pack bonding. Humans are social creatures. We form attachments easily. It's one of our greatest strengths." "It is insanity," a reptilian council member hissed. "Perhaps," Jiwon agreed calmly. But it works for us. Nixorum brought up more data. Humans are vectors for hundreds of microorganisms. They live in symbiosis with trillions of organisms on and inside their bodies. They exchange these organisms freely through social contact, yet their immune systems adapt and counter threats constantly. They are walking biological weapons, another council member protested. We are walking ecosystems, Minho corrected. But we're not trying to harm anyone. Veltari's voice cut through the growing chaos. Humans are classified as death worlders of the highest category, but more concerning is their psychological profile. They do not simply survive challenges, they seek them out. They view obstacles as opportunities. They treat impossibility as motivation. The ambassador displayed human historical data. They crossed oceans in primitive vessels. They climbed mountains that killed hundreds before successful ascent. They explored their planet's poles with inadequate equipment. They developed space travel within centuries of industrialization. They refused to accept limitations. Hana spoke quietly but firmly. We don't give up. That's what you're trying to understand. When something seems impossible, we try anyway. When we fail, we try again. When told something can't be done, we take that as a challenge. This is the core of human psychology, Veltari explained. Persistence, stubbornness, refusal to surrender. Combined with their physical resilience and adaptive biology, they are perhaps the most difficult species to eliminate that we have encountered. Silence fell over the council. The arbiter spoke slowly. You are suggesting humans are dangerous. We are suggesting, Cormac replied, that humans are survivors. Apex survivors. They evolved on a death world that tried to kill them for millions of years. They adapted. They persisted. They conquered their planet not through strength or speed, but through sheer refusal to quit. Debate erupted. Some council members demanded humanity be quarantined. Others argued humans were too dangerous to antagonize. A few suggested humanity be uplifted carefully under strict observation. The arguments continued for hours. Finally, Jiwan requested permission to speak. The arbiter granted it. Honorable Council, she began, you're afraid of us. I understand that. We probably would be afraid of us too if we encountered humanity from an outside perspective. But consider this. Everything you've described, all our persistence and stubbornness and refusal to quit, we can offer that to the Council. She activated her own display. We survived our world. We can help other species survive theirs. We adapted to every environment. We can help others adapt. We refuse to abandon our people. We won't abandon council members either. Our pack bonding extends to those we call friends, and we would very much like to be friends with the galaxy. Minho stepped forward. You see monsters. We see survivors. You see danger. We see potential allies. We came to the stars not to conquer, but to explore. Not to threaten, but to learn. Give us a chance to prove we can be valuable council members. Hana added, We know we're unusual. We accept that. But unusual doesn't mean bad. It just means different. Let us show you what humans can offer, not what you fear we might do. The debate resumed, but with a different tone. Species that had opposed humanity began reconsidering. The human delegation answered questions for hours. They explained their history, their values, their goals. They made no excuses for their nature but emphasized their desire for peaceful cooperation. Finally, the arbiter called for a vote. The council deliberated privately for what felt like an eternity to the observers. When the results came, Veltari read them aloud. The Galactic Council accepts humanity as members, with special observation status for the first decade. Military restrictions will apply until trust is established. Cultural exchange programs are mandated. Regular evaluations will be conducted. Jiwan smiled. We accept these terms. The arbiter spoke directly to the humans. Understand that many species fear you. Your nature is unprecedented. but the Council sees potential value in your unique capabilities. Do not betray this trust." "We won't," Hana promised. After the official session ended, smaller groups gathered to discuss the decision. Veltari found itself alone with the 3 human representatives. "I must admit," the ambassador said quietly, "I remain unsettled by your species. Your capabilities are disturbing." "We understand," Jiwan replied. "We'll work to build trust." "I am grateful you wish to be our allies," Veltari continued. "I would not want you as enemies." Cormac approached. "Agreed. A species that refuses to quit, that adapts to everything, that forms unbreakable bonds. You would be terrible enemies." "But hopefully excellent friends," Minho said cheerfully. Nixorum joined them, mandibles clicking thoughtfully. "The Council made the right decision. Better to have humans working with us than against us. And perhaps we can learn from your persistence." That evening, the human delegation celebrated. They invited the observers to join them. Veltari accepted cautiously, as did Nixorum and Cormac. The humans offered something called alcohol. The observers analyzed it carefully. A toxin that humans consumed recreationally. Of course they did. "Start with small amounts," Jiwan advised. "Human alcohol tolerance is pretty high. You might want to be careful." Veltari tried a small quantity. Its crystalline structure immediately felt strange. Light refracted incorrectly. Thoughts became slower. "This is poison." "Yes, but fun poison," Minho laughed. "In moderation." Cormac tried some and rumbled with distress. "This impairs judgment and coordination." "That's part of the appeal," Hana admitted. "Though yes, we do it responsibly. Usually." The celebration continued. Humans laughed, told stories, shared food. They included the observers naturally, treating them as friends already, pack bonding in action. 10 years passed quickly. Humans proved themselves valuable council members. They volunteered for dangerous missions other species avoided. They helped struggling colonies adapt to harsh worlds. They mediated disputes with persistent negotiation that wore down even the most stubborn opponents. They developed new technologies by trying things others thought impossible. Human medics became famous for refusing to give up on patients. Human engineers became known for solving problems through sheer determination. Human diplomats became respected for their ability to find common ground with anyone. The observers' reports had been correct. Humans didn't know when to quit. They just kept going, kept trying, kept adapting, kept helping. A new species applied to join the Council in the 10th year of human membership. They needed evaluation and assistance with their harsh world. The Council debated who should conduct the assessment. The Arbiter made the decision. Send the humans. They will understand. Jiwan received the assignment with the same calm professionalism she had shown a decade earlier. She assembled a team. Minho wanted to come, still enthusiastic about meeting new species. Hana agreed to provide security. Before they left, Veltari contacted them. "I wanted to say, we were wrong to fear you so greatly. You have been excellent council members." "Thank you," Jiwan replied. "Though to be fair, we are pretty scary when you think about it." "Yes," Veltari agreed. "But you are also loyal friends. I am honored to call humanity allies." The human ship departed for their new assignment. On board, Jiwan briefed her team. "New species, harsh world, struggling to survive. Sound familiar?" "Sounds like they need humans," Minho said. "Sounds like they need friends who understand," Hana corrected. Jiwan smiled. "Same thing." The ship jumped to faster than light speed, carrying humans to help another species survive. Because that was what humans did. They persisted. They adapted. They helped. They refused to quit, even when facing impossible odds. The galaxy had learned something important. Humans were terrifying, yes, but they were terrifying allies to have, and even more terrifying enemies to face. Better to be friends with the species that simply would not stop. And the humans? They just kept going, one step at a time, refusing to quit, helping anyone who needed it, making friends with everyone they met. The galaxy would never be the same.